All right. I think I got it working. They changed things. I couldn't figure out how to get my external camera to work. I think it's working now, though. Let's see. I get this chat thing out here again. Pop out chat. Hey, there's Brock. Hey, Brock. Let's see. Gonna make this thing so I can see it, everyone. It's been a while. Yes, Adrian and Alex, Unbox Therapy Speakers JBL. What's up, Steve? Yogurt Thief. All right. You know, this is all because of Louis Sipes. He texted me and said, hey, when are you going live again? And I said, well, I don't know. Maybe I'll go live now. Everyone's asleep. Good evening. Good evening. Hello from Baltimore. Barry, hello from Texas. What's going on? This camera seems a little bit high. Let's change the camera around. Let's make some changes on the fly. There we go. And that's much better. Whew, much better. Yeah, I saw ELAC went up like $200. What, Louis? Louis just Kool-Aid Man's his way in here with $100 super chat. Louis, thank you so much. You are awesome. Hey, Brian from Canada. Man, Louis. It's all because of Louis. That's the only reason we're on here. Speaking of veterans, I got my Charlie Company hat on here from the Naval Science Institute in 2000 and something. Oh, yeah. Louis does rock Brock. See what I did there? Louis does rock Brock. I didn't even try to do that one. There we go. JBL Therapy. Unbox. Alex. Adrian. It says he has to say something. What do you guys want to talk about tonight, girls? Guys. I don't think there's any girls in here. Come on now. Ask me a question. I'm just going to sit here. I'm getting, I don't know what that is. Why are prices going up, Steve? I have no earthly idea. Probably something to do with the global supply chain being brought to its knees because of the global pandemic known as COVID. I don't know. I don't know why prices are going up, but they seem to be going up across the board. ELAC does some of the pricing shenanigans, so maybe they'll come back down to 1,000. Just got the HD 560 Sennheiser, and they're pretty darn awesome. Ooh, it's good to know. Are those a closeback, John? Because I'm looking for another pair of closeback headphones. Louis and Brock are in here. Open back. Okay. I'm looking for a good closeback. I've got the AKG K361s. I've got the Meze Classics. And then I've got the Dan Clark Aeon closed RT. But I want another one. I wish Grado made a closeback. I wish they did. These are pretty good, I guess. I don't know. I haven't listened to these on music for a while. Dolly IO 4s are good for a good bet for closed. No, I've never even heard of those. I just got the Kef Audio small speakers. I love their model name, Kef Audio small speakers. I haven't seen those. Ever make your own sub? Think of making some? No, I have not. Joseph Wilson. Any thoughts on reviewing Orchard Audio stuff? Well, I already have. The pecan pie. I talked about it at length in actually 2 videos. Orchard Audio, pecan pie. One of the best sounding streamers out there. Evening, Mr. McCarger. They are so good. That's good, Adrian. I loved your Saturday shootout this week. Follow-up question. If you could only have one system in your house for both movies and music, would you take the SVSs or Unify Reference for a 2.2 system? SVSs. Um, just I don't know. I mean, I think people could argue that the ELAC is a better overall speaker, but I just like much better. I just, that's too low. I just like the way that SVSs sound. It's more to my taste, and but I'm not like a dead flat response type of a guy. I like a little bit of happiness on the top and the bottom. Yo, El Gordo or El Gordo's in the house. If anybody hasn't subscribed to his channel, click on over to El Gordo Audio. You put out a review. What'd you review? You reviewed the Emotiva B1 Pluses. Have you heard of? Yes, I have heard of Tecton Lore. Absolutely. I talked to Eric, I think is his name, over at Tecton a while back, and nothing really ever came of it. Maybe I should reach out to him again. Brian Schmidt, I made him laugh. Very good. Campfire Audio Cascade closed back. Ooh, I thought Campfire only did like IEMs. I need to get in the know. I don't know much about headphones and stuff. Just got the Wharfdale Lentons. Amazing. Any chance you review them? I'll talk to them. I think the next one I want to review from them is actually the Evo 4.1 though. So if it's between the 4.1s and the Lentons, I'm probably taking the 4.1s because they're $600-700. Are you going to be buying any more vintage receivers? Not if I can help myself, Mr. Carlson. I have a bit of an affliction, and that's when anybody says, "Hey, look at this. This is a good deal." I'm like, "Buy." So yeah, hopefully not. I mean, I can see there's one behind me. There's one there. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I have 6 in here right now. Oil cooled said, "Thanks for the response. Very interesting." Did you ask about, oh, if I could only choose one? Yeah, but that's dual purpose, right? If I'm only choosing one for music, it's probably going to be the ELAC. But if I'm only having one for like movies and music, probably the SVS. All right. Adrian just subscribed to El Gordo Audio. I think that shit audio should make a UV meter module so I can keep my modern stuff by watching the needles dance. I agree. I think that's a can't lose product. The first step is admitting you have a problem. Thank you, Mr. Carl Sittler. I see you all the time in the comments. Thanks for jumping in tonight. Vintage receivers are a hell of a vice. Aren't they all? Emotiva amps are awesome. Should they build a more powerful Class A amp? You'll have to talk to them. I mean, I think they've got their stuff pretty figured out. So that would be cool. I think Emotiva, I think if you're looking at companies, direct to audio or direct to market companies, I think shit is obviously more what people would consider audiophile. Emotiva is kind of all around. So all around their home theater and audio. So I don't know. I think they're pretty conservative with their designs. The SVS also versus the Emotiva T1 Plus towers that you reviewed for mostly home theater, but also 2.1 listening. It depends. If you have the room, I think it's hard to argue with the value proposition because the Ultras and the T1 Pluses sound more similar than they do sound different. So that's actually a pretty good comparison. And Emotiva doesn't have any large bookshelf speakers. So, you're looking at, but their smallest towers, the T0s are 400, T1 pluses are, 700. So if it's me, I'm probably getting, and I have room, I'm getting the T1 pluses and the center channel, the T1 plus or the C1 plus for less than a pair of SVSs. But the SVSs are going to be a little bit more refined and stuff, but they're both good. That was a pretty good question. My goodness, a Randy live stream. Hey, Scott, pleasure. I think you got something heading your way. I'm looking for a new amp stuck between the Yamaha or shit Vidar. Any thoughts? Well, I haven't heard the Yamaha, but I do have the Vidar, and I'm really impressed. I really like it. And it's just built really awesome. It's It's just it's a cool looking amp. It sounds great, very clear, very awesome. Deckware, probably not. They haven't. We haven't really talked, and I think they're pretty backed up with stuff. So I don't know if they'd be willing to send me anything. And I really don't have any speakers, really high efficiency speakers. Scott Pledger. Scott just dropped in 100. I know you guys pretty well when I don't even need to see the name. I just know that the penguin is Scott. Thank you, Scott. You're very, very generous. I need help. I'm trying not to buy a Blue Sound Power Node 2. Intervention needed. I don't know why you wouldn't want to. Oh, that's El Gordo. Well, Gordo, just buy the uh, go find a used Blue Sound Node 2i and then just plop the IEMA A07 on it. There you go. Boom, you're done. I wish someone I watch, Andy Robinson, Darko, Audiophiliac, or you would review the Wharfdale Lintons. Why doesn't anyone cover those? Well, if you're in the US, that's probably a question for MoFi, which is their distribution company. So generally speaking, if a distributor is willing to, send out speakers, it's going to be of a certain kind. So if you see a lot of videos, all the same products, it's done on purpose. But I'd love to hear the Lintons. As I said before, I think the Evo 4.4, 4.1s are going to be the next one I request from them. But I'd love to hear the Lintons too. What IEM mobile DAC combo under 250 would you recommend? Ooh, good question, Phil. I would start with the High Diz Pro 9 Pro 9 Plus or something like that. It's a dongle DAC. It has a Sabre ESS or ES 9038 QTM chip, which is also the same chip as the Cobalt from the Dragonfly Cobalt. Okay. That would be the first thing. That's $120. And then we have another, okay, so 250. So we have another $130. If you can stretch your budget and you're really into detail, I would look at the Tin Hi-Fi P1s, which is a planar magnetic. But you're going to have to get a balanced cable for that because those are pretty power hungry. So, B, what are those KZs you love? I always forget the name of them. KZ something something Pro. Anyway, I'd start with that DAC, dongle DAC. We can talk IEMs later when you figure out what type of sound signature you like, because there's a lot of good ones out there right now. Whew, Gordo just got the node. You have power. Yeah, there you go. See, Barack and I are on the same page. What is your opinion of LaPi products? I haven't really spent any time with them. I take that back. I do have a LaPi plate amp that's a 2.1 plate amp. I try to make a couple of little project out of. Ooh, excuse me. Where do the GR XLS line up with your $500 fix? That's not a fair comparison, because that $500 speaker, I mean, that's the sorry, I'm having a hard time thinking tonight. That is just the materials, right? So someone's got to put it together. Either that's you or that's somebody else, and there's inherent value. So the Encores really need to be compared to $1,000 speaker as far as what their sound is really awesome. It's wonderful. There's a lot of magic with the Encores, but you can't compare them to a $500 factory speaker, because that $500 factory speaker, chances are being sold through normal distribution, so it's really a $250 speaker. Hey, it's Dr. C. Great to see my handsome mug. Yeah, I don't think so. Scott, people are giving Scott some props because whoa. All right, we're going to lock this guy. Remove pin, put user in timeout. There we go. Drill Sergeant. There we go. He went away. Yeah, there you go. I just bought the High-Res S9 Pro for $120. Yep, that's the one I like. ZS10 Pro. So Brock, ZS10 Pro is a very nice, it's poorly built, but it sounds great. Very U-shaped, very detailed, very punchy on the bottom as well. I think those are less than $50, but I would recommend getting a aftermarket cord for maybe 10 or $15. But they're very good IEMs. Not built great, but they sound great. I never could figure out why no one ever talks about Sherwin Vega. Any thoughts? They just kind of relaunched themselves, or somebody bought the rights to the name or something. So um, there's a couple speakers that are bebopping around on Amazon right now that you can buy. Um, so, but I don't necessarily think it's like a group of people that are really really excited about audio. I think if someone bought the name and started throwing stuff together. So I don't think today's Sherwin Vega is like the Sherwin Vega that we remembered from the 90s or 80s or whatever. So that's pure speculation on my part too. I have no idea. But I reached out to him. I heard it was crickets. I didn't hear anything back. Dr. C, I have not listened to that amp yet. I want to try to keep my palate clean before I really dig into that thing, because I don't want it to uh, bias any other opinions that I have. Um, Anybody have any Zoo Dirty Weekends to send Randy? Would be very interested to hear my take. I would too. That speaker's always really interested me, and it's high efficiency, so I think it'd probably go well with a lot of tube gear. Gordo's still trying to save up for the Denafreps. I want to know if the Dogi 10 tube amplifier is worthy of the hype. I've never even heard of it. Cannot stop wanting to buy this amp, but I would like your expert opinion. I've never even heard of it, Bob Marley. I'm sorry. I know you started messing around with vintage receivers. Have you dabbled in the vintage speakers at all? No, I haven't. And I've talked about it though. I've talked about it with Brock, and I've talked about it with Steve, and I've talked about it with some other folks. It's a tough thing, right? Because now you're paying shipping. You know, vintage speakers generally are on the larger side, so unless you can find something local, that's a much harder thing to do than vintage receiver. Yeah, vintage receivers are heavy, but you can put them in a box. Speakers, put them in a box, shipping, all that stuff. And he started, okay, so on this Faber one, think at $1,000 a pair. Too much? No, no, not at all. I mean, if they'd send them to me, I'd do a review on them. Absolutely. The problem with $1,000 speakers is they're $1,000. So, like some of the other stuff, if somebody doesn't send it to me, fine, I'll go buy it and I'll listen to it. If I like it, I'll keep it. If not, I'll sell it or return it. But when you get to $1,000 bookshelves, if the company's not willing to send them to me, chances are I'm probably not going to review them unless they're sent to me by a viewer, because that's a bunch of money, and I could put that money towards reviewing 5 or 6 other things that more people are likely to buy. Any chance of an AXA 35 review? Love the 25. I don't know. I'll have to contact them. Actually, I think I sent them an email about sending that back and never heard anything back from them. Dr. C says Thomas and Sterling did a review of the Dogi. I'm gonna call it Dogi. Have you reviewed any Onkyo receivers? Not officially. I have 3 of them in the house though, so I should. Absolutely. I have the 686, which is a previous generation. I think you can still get the 696 TXNR 696. Yeah, I have the 686. And then I have one of the lower cost ones upstairs. So Evo 4.2 or Unify reference. It was not clear at all. It depends on what you want. If you want a flat speaker that's going to perform well in most situations and have crazy soundstage and imaging, then the reference. If you want one of the most detailed speakers that I've ever heard, then the Evo 4.2. But the 4.2, you have to make sure you get them placed right. And more than anything, you have to make sure you get the height correct. Because if you just plop those on a regular old stand, they're going to be too high. And then it's going to sound very forward. Let's see. You convinced me to snag an MT604. I'm very excited for its arrival. Oh, cool, Scott. Where are you going to feed it with? 604 is fun. 4 tubes. Actually, Digital Dan sent me some tubes for my 604. Hi, would you review a book? The audiophile guide is cheap from Paul McGowan, PS Audio. Well, if it's from Paul McGowan, I'm sure it's a freaking page turner and a perfect example of what a paperback book or hardcover book should be. Paul knows what he's doing over there. So I'm sure it's great. It's funny that you mentioned that because I was thinking about that because I watched some of Paul's videos too. And he was talking about speaker placement and he was talking about, oh, yeah, people were complaining about their system. And I would go and I said, just go out of the room. And then I'd go and I'd move their speakers and then they'd come back in and they were just like, oh my gosh, it's like a completely different system. And then he's like, yeah, that'll be in my book. I'm like, really, Paul? You can't give us that info for free. We got to go buy your book for that. So at that point, I was like, oh, I get it. Everyone needs to make money. But when Paul was like, it was like a perfect, example of a hook to get you to go buy his book. And I'm like, all right, Paul, I'm done. I'm not buying your dumb book. I'm sure it's not dumb. I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's perfect. But Paul McGowan's a businessman, and he knows how to make money. Best amp for ELAC EB52 and Unifier reference. Thanks. It depends on your budget. The Emotiva A2 or the previous generation A100 can drive the heck out of them. So that's a good one. But that's just a power amp. So you're going to need either a DAC with variable output or you're going to need a preamp. If you're talking about integrateds, the TA100, which is the new, that's a 50 watt. I think anything 50 watts or more, legitimate watts, 50 legitimate watts or more is going to drive them. If you can stretch that to like 75 watts, I would more power the better for the Unifies. They still do well, but they just they like the power. They like the power. The crossovers on my 1971 Sansui 2000S went bad. Ugh. Pull that out. Order some of the same values, and then bust out a soldering iron. Have some fun. Have you reached out to RSL Speakers for their bookshelf for Speedwell for 10? They seem like they loan out stuff. I haven't. No, I have not. How about XLS Encore or Crichton versus SVS Ultra Evo's Unifier reference? Again, that's hard to say. DIY versus factory speakers, because the Encores are both those, the Crichtons and the Encores are very special, and I would say that they would do very well against any of the speakers that I talked about today. So take that for what it's worth. But comparing DIY and factory speakers it's just a no-win situation because you got $500 or $700 in materials, you still got to put it together. And if I know from putting about 15 pairs of these things together that it doesn't always go smoothly. And there's a lot of work involved with it. And it's not necessarily getting the speakers to make sound. That's a lot of work. It's the finishing. And so you can get a speaker to make sound, in a couple of days, 2-3 days, but to finish it correctly and to make it look okay, you're talking a week of multiple hours, a lot of hours to get that thing looking good. So if one's so inclined and they have the time and skill set to do it, then yeah, do it. I mean, they're great sounding speakers, and but it's apples and oranges because a $700 kit is really probably a $2,000 speaker. $500 kit's probably $1,500 speaker if you're thinking about it that way. I think GR Research is now selling actually assembled enclosures for like $350. So I mean, just add that to the total, and then I've got to solder the crossover together, and those crossovers are not easy to solder together. It's really the leads that are the hard part. I placed my order a month ago. The date to ship is the 18th of this month. Nothing yet on RSL. Okay. Using my RME ADI-2 to feed the MT604. Pretty pumped. Cool. Very cool. You're going to review that second vintage receiver you recently got? Dr. C, I actually have a couple more that came in before that one. But yes, I will review the Yamaha CR800. It's a beaut. It's a beaut, Clark. That book came with reference audio tracks. Well, there you go. I mean, that's worth the price of admission right there. How much is the PS audiobook going for these days? I think Paul makes up the names of the people that send in those emails and the places these people live, but whatever. Listen, Paul's a good guy. His well, I don't know him personally. He could be dreadful human being to be around, but I've never met the guy. His YouTube channel though has a lot of subscribers, so I'm sure he is getting getting a lot of emails, and he can put on his reading glasses and sit back, and he printed it all. He printed the email off. Okay, he doesn't have to read it from the laptop. He's got it printed off, and he looks down, and well, Raul from Paraguay is asking about balance connections. And he gets up on the whiteboard and he does his thing. Paul's a good guy. He's a showman. He knows how to make money too. And he's obviously smart. So good for Paul. Let's see. Michael Resendez, thank you for the super chat. Emotiva T1 Plus or T2 Plus in a medium-sized room with subs. Or will the T2 Plus not bring nothing to the table with subs for home theater only? Recent subscriber, thanks. Michael, I think you're better off with the T1 Pluses, my friend. T2 Pluses are amazing, but the T1 Pluses go all the way down to 37 hertz, and I'll attest that they do go down to 37 hertz, and if you get them close to a back wall, they're going to go even lower. So you don't need to spend a ton of money on subs. I think T2 Plus would probably be just overkill in a medium-sized room. I would save the money and the price differentiation. You could get the C1 Plus basically and still be ahead $50. I'm using a pair of early HK era Infinity RS4 towers in my second system, the one I'm watching on now. Got it for $150. Love them. Man, I've heard so many good things about vintage Infinity stuff. I stick saving for a pair of Speedwoofers. Suggestion. Oh, that went away. All right. Best tube amp under $500. You really don't have a lot of choices. You have either the Tube Cube 7, and I don't know where you're at, or you have the Bayou Range. Oh, I forget the model name now. It's their EL34 tube amp. I don't know it. I don't remember it. It's not the MT34 Mark II. MT34. It's not that one. It's the step lower than that one. I think it's I can't remember it. Sorry. It's about $450. You can get it out of China Hi-Fi. All right, let's go. Okay, we got some Paul McGowan stuff. Listen, I'm not bagging on Paul McGowan. More power to the guy. You know, he's smart. He knows what he's doing. He makes good stuff. It's well regarded, and he writes books. So awesome. Good for Paul. He's got a very popular YouTube channel. He's doing it. He's got a very nice facility over there in Denver. I have the Encore's Crichton 1 TDX and Overnight Sensations and no new ELAC Unify. Wow, Brian. Brian's got them all. Which ones do you like the best, Brian, and why? Bob Marley, I went down for buying the vintage receiver rabbit hole, and I am about 30 in so far. Wow. Damn. Yamaha CR800 is a great snag. Mine just gave up beyond the point of a quick fix after a long life. Got donated to the apprentice at my local store. Oh, that's too bad. I hope mine lives a lot longer. If my Yamaha RX A3050 receiver has a DAC already, will an external DAC still improve the sound? Yes, it will. Like the shit Modi multi-bit. Yes, it will. Most DACs that are internal to a receiver are generally a fuller DAC, which is good because it doesn't really offend anybody, right? But most of the time, those DACs that are in receivers are not going to be as detailed or reveal as much detail. And it makes sense, right? So if you're buying the shit multi-bit, that's what, $250, depending upon what the receiver costs. You know, if the receiver is $600, probably doesn't have a $100 DAC in it. Probably doesn't have a $50 DAC in it. So absolutely, an external DAC will make things sound better. How much better? I don't know, because I don't know exactly what DAC's in that receiver. I would say that probably a layman or someone that's not even into audio would be able to tell a difference if you switch it on and then switch it off. Ooh, got very out of breath. Leo from Orchard Audio, many other under 40 year the future of the audio industry. Yeah, Leo knows what he is doing. Leo stuff is good. Michael, of course, thank you for the super chat, Mr. Resendez. I appreciate it very, very much. Oh, I see. Grandpa rumbling about how much watts is enough all the time. A10. Thank you, Brock. It's the by your range, A10. That's it. Hey, Steve. What up, Steve? Oh, I got another super chat. Adam J. Canadian, $5. Thank you. Fluence, reference towers, and then adding bookshelves and center speaker later on. Suggestions for a budget 5.1 amp with Atmos that will power these. Well, the problem with 5.1 and Atmos is you're not going to get 5.1 in Atmos, because you're going to get Atmos takes up at least 2 channels, right? So if you want a 5.1 in Atmos, you're actually going to need a 7.1 Atmos receiver. I think there's some Atmos receivers that do 5-channel, but then it takes away your surround channels in lieu of the Atmos channels. So Fluence reference towers, brother, those make some bass, and then adding bookshelves. I've got an Onkyo. It's a 5-channel receiver, and it's got something in the menu about some Atmos stuff. It's $330, I think, US. So I don't know what it would be in Canada, but you might want to look at that. I didn't care for the 5-channel Sony at all receiver, so I would look at the Onkyo, or maybe I did review a Denon as well, and that one was pretty good. I think it was around the same price. Love the Ship Modi 3. Smooth top end, strong bass. I've got one here, actually. Right here. It's like a toy, isn't it? But it's not. It's a DAC. Louis Sipes saying hi to Steve. This whole thing is happening only because of Louis. Louis texted me. Then I had a hard time getting the camera going. Let's see. Shit Manny, Lear 3 with phono module, a worthwhile upgrade. Shit Manny, Lear 3 with phono module. From what are you upgrading from? I've got the Manny in house too, but I haven't listened to it yet. I don't know. I guess I don't know what you're upgrading from. I'm sorry. Hey, Sam from Australia here. Hey, what up, Sam from Australia? I am about to publish a YouTube video on how to stream Apple Music high-res audio. The video will incorporate some vintage with VU amps because they look classy. Well, very cool. IBIT Consulting. When you publish it, shoot me an email and I will share it out on my channel. All right. What are you going to connect to your vintage receiver? Cassette. I actually do have a cassette deck. Brock sent me one. It's a Yagamochi Tower. It's not the name at all. It's Nakatomi Tower. Yes, so I have that. I got to clean the heads. I'm getting my first cassette shipped in here on the 10th of September. But I've run the Denafreps into it. I've actually run 2 turntables into it. Sounds great. It's got some noise going on in the background. Are you interested in Aussie and US collaboration? Of course I am. Why wouldn't I be? I could just sit there and listen to you talk. You could read out of the phone book and I'd just be like, hey, God, that guy sounds cool, man. He's Australian. For sure. IBIT Consulting. Shoot me an email. Maybe review the Wilsonton R8 tube amp. I think that's pretty pricey. If you don't include shipping, it could be considered cheap. Impressed with mine, especially for the money. I've heard nothing but good things about those. I think Gutenberg's got a review on it. I think Thomas and Stereo has a review on them. Very good. In your opinion, what's the second best Metallica album? Not the first best. Don't ever mention the first best. What's the second best? Oof. Oh man, that's tough to say because I'm vacillating right now. Okay, so it's either Master of Puppets or not Ride the Lightning. Either Master of Puppets or and Justice for All. I would consider to be the second best. Are we talking? I don't know. I can't even. I mean, if we're talking about like financial success, then Black is obviously the number one Metallica album. Um, I don't know. It's a tough question. I mean, they're all good, right? But I would say Justice or Master of Puppets. But see, sometimes I consider Master of Puppets to be their best record. Um, I don't know. Justice or Master of Puppets probably be. Uh, Were you able to upgrade your tune to a blue, Dr. C? Not yet. I think I'm going to though. I'm just going to get this, the stylus. But the money has been going to other things right now, and not to. I do have the Nagaoka MP110. Well, that doesn't sound anything like the blue. So eventually, I think I'm going to get that stylus. Very excited, especially hoping to hear the new Dan Clark headphones. They look amazing. Did Dan Clark release a new set of headphones? I'll have to check them out. When he released, they're pretty pricey though, because the Aeons that I have, the RT version, I didn't buy those until they were $500. When they first came out, they were like 900. There's Gordo's talking about Yamaha TS 700 will suffice for 5.2.2 Atmos. Yeah, so that's the thing that you need 7 total channels for Atmos. At least that's my understanding. Oh, we got a big pop up. Louis is awesome. Of course you are. Louis is awesome. What's up, Gordo? That's another Steve Zedman. Okay. Last 2 weeks, Dan Clark Aeon RT closed, Lox G A30. Okay. A pair of Numi BS5s for desktop setup. Not a bad run of deliveries. Very nice. Pleased with them all. Thanks for the videos on all of these. Man, the Dan Clark, that video was done in a hotel in, let's see, what city was that? Big Spring, Texas. That was the, I think I even remember the name of the hotel. That has escaped me. I can't remember. All right. Very cool. Sorry about that. Actually, I think I'm going to listen to the Dan Clarks tonight. I'm going to go back to bed. I was actually laying in bed when Louis texted me. I was like, I'm thinking I'm going to watch a movie. And then Louis texted me. I'm like, you know what? We're going live. I have an Emotiva PT100 preamp, and I think you have one too. How do you rate the DAC in it compared to some budget DACs around $200? Well, John, I mean, you cannot compare a $450 all-in preamp that has a phono, it has a DAC, it has Bluetooth, it has high pass output, it's got a sub output, it's got regular RCA outs, it's got a tuner. So, I mean, we're talking $450. So, whatever DAC they have in there, which actually I do know, they have the oh man, what is the name? I used to know it. Anyway, the DAC that they have in there is a well-regarded DAC, but a $200 DAC is going to walk all over the DAC and the PT1. It just is, because it's $200, and that's almost 50% of the price of the entire preamp. So you're going to be getting a lot more DAC. The DAC in there is more detailed than the DAC that was in the TA100, but it's going to pale in comparison to a standalone DAC. Really, probably even in the $100 range. Like a Modi is probably going to walk all over the PT1. But if you're just getting started, that DAC can get you by for a while. Where can I buy the audiophile light bulbs? Sith Audio. Actually, no. It's hold on. asmac.org. 2 C's at the end. The light bulbs are going to be on asmac.org. ASMACC.org. ASMAC. It's the Audiophile Standards, Measurements, and Certification Committee.org. They just got a website. Dun, dun, dun. Gordo added subtitles. Awesome. You shield the Sony SSCS5, and I found a great deal for a pair for $75. Well, if I'm shilling them, it's because I believe in them. Um, should I get the subwoofer? Well, sure. I bet Consulting says, let's do it. Awesome. Will do. All right. No, Gordo is the man. No, Brock's the man. No, Louis is the man. Is your cassette deck Nakamichi Dragon? I don't think it's the Dragon. Brock gave it to me. Brock, what is that cassette player? Second best is Saint Anger. Oh, there you go. I like that. I'm talking Black Album order on cassette too. Kevin, I got the whole like big package, and then I added the cassette. I'm like, for $10, I'm getting the cassette, even if I never listened to it. Kevin's got the Dragon. Ooh, S&M. Which one? S&M 1 or S&M 2? Master Puppet second. What's your number one? My number one is probably the Black Album, because that was like my sophomore year in high school, and that was just like changed everything. Just awesome, right? Just incredible. But I listened to Justice. I listened to all the records before that. But it was the Black Album that just like they just busted open, and like Metallica was mainstream with the Black Album. So a lot of fond memories to that record. Rolling around in the Dodge Aspen RT. Brian C. G says Master Puppets. Agree. Awesome, Gordo. So your email TV review. That's what Louis says. If we talk about next tier speakers, like one and a half, 1,500 to 2K, what would be your top picks? I don't know. I haven't really spent any time even looking around at those. I'd have to take a look. Randy, do you have a brand of speakers or model you can handle very aggressive bass heavy music like rap, EDM, hip hop, electronica? I would look at the Q Acoustics 3030 Eyes. A lot of bass. I would look at the Polk S20s. A lot of bass. I would look at the Crichtons if you're so inclined to do a DIY kit. Then I would look at the ELAC Unify 2.0. It's only 5.25-inch woofer, but man, that thing can hit low. Long live Napster. Yeah, listen, if someone starts ripping off my YouTube and like making money from it or whatever, and I would be mad too. Lars, I think people crapped on him for that, but he had every right. He put his heart and soul into that music, and he should get compensated for it. And someone's stealing his work. I think anybody would be mad if they got their work stolen. Yeah, the Dan Clark Aeon Stealth. They come in at a cool 4,000. They're apparently figured out how to literally program frequency response into them. Cool. Why don't you just use an EQ for less than 4,000? Good day. Hey, Kieran Church. Been too long since a cheap Audio Man stream. Yeah, it has been. One of three. All right. When listening to music, anytime you think about equipment or equipment attributes, that's a music listening failure. The only pure listening I did was a kid, especially on my 70s POS Sears combo. Turntable cassette radio unit with those weak RCA cables. Never once thought about equipment or the sound, just the music. 3 I don't say shit to the kids about audio equipment. They're just listening to music, and I envy what their experience. Your thoughts? I think I'm in a different situation than most people are, because this is starting to become my job. So my job is to hear differences in different pieces of equipment. But I will say, to your point, there is a time, and when I'm listening to a piece of equipment and I forget that I am listening to a piece of equipment, and then I'm evaluating that piece of equipment, that's when I know that is a really special piece of equipment. So I absolutely agree with you from the standpoint of, once I'm lost in the music and I want the next track, and I start listening to tracks in their entirety or an entire side of a record or whatever, then I know that whatever I'm listening to resonates with me, at least. And I think will resonate with other people as well. Good night, Dr. C. Good night. Thank you. Mike, a go fast Coburn. $10. Thank you. James Tartaglia, $5. Thank you very much. ASMAC. Ooh, we must be behind. Let's see. All right, here we go. We're going to burn through some of these. Ready? Love your channel. And my non-audiophile wife does too. Very cool. Key in church. So I'm doing something right. I appreciate that. Louis an hour in front of me. This old man was up. Bring your own pup like yourself had to be awake. ASMAC is real? Nah, way. Yes, asmac.org, ASMACC.org. It is live. It went down for a little bit today, but it should be back up right now. asmac.org. Audiophile Standards, Measurements, and Certification Committee. asmac.org. Also has a certified products page, so you can go on there and you know that product is certified audiophile. Emotiva actually kept the same AD 1955 in the PT1 that it had in the TA100. No kidding. Well, they sound different. Do you have an opinion on the lower price cocktail audio streamers? Thank you. I have not heard of them. My number one is Striper. Hey, there you go. To hell with the devil. I remember Striper. They had the black and yellow spandex. What $200 range DAC would you recommend? Also have Parasound New Classic 2125 version 2 amp and the ELAC Unify UB52s. Ooh, depends on what type of sound you like. I think you can't really go wrong with the shit Modi. The Soncon, any of the DACs that are using the ES9038 QTM chipset, pretty good. So there's a Soncons. This topping EX5 is fantastic. I think that might be 350 though. It's 250 or 350. I can't remember. The problem with DACs is they're like either $100 or they're like $300. So there's not a lot in between. I have to think on that. One of the budget is the FX Audio D01, I think. Yeah, I think that's $150. Pretty good. I love the Yamaha S805, but I'm itching for something better. What would you suggest? If you like that sound signature, I'd look at some of the Emotiva towers. Wait a minute, SA805. That's a tower, right? 803 is the bookshelf. 805 is the tower. 807 is the tower, I think. Yeah, I would look at the T0s, but probably the T1 Plus if you can swing that. Otherwise, the SVS Prime towers, pretty good. Well, I haven't heard the towers. Okay, so I shouldn't say that. But their bookshelves are very good. Megadeth. Yeah, I listen to Megadeth. 3030i are ridiculous for the money. I had a pair in this system before the Infinities. Loved them. Just wanted bigger. Yeah, the 3030i's are ridiculous bass-wise. Let's see. Yamaha S803. My first speakers that were not junk. So surprised how cheap in price they are. Still want to get higher quality speakers in the far future, but these will do for now, for a while. The 803s are great. I love them. Gordo's chiming in. 33. Gordo, do you still have my 3030s? I think you do. I think you do. I think I just packed up the 3020i's. Thanks so much for introducing me to Emotiva. However, can't decide with T1 or T2 speakers. Ooh, get the T1s in the center channel. There you go. I'm just pulling the trigger on the 3030i's to go along with my Uni 5. Very cool. Thoughtful response. Thanks. Dark patches. What did I say to you? Are you being facetious? I don't. Oh, okay. No, he's being serious. Okay, cool. I have a JTR Captivator RS1 sub on the way, which has eaten a lot of my budget. Recommendations for a speaker that gets the mid bass right and not fatiguing or bright. Depends on your budget. I think the ELAC debut reference get the mid bass right. They're not fatiguing nor bright. Even the ELAC Unify UB 2.0s. Let's see. JBL Stage A130s. They're awesome. It depends on your budget and depends on what size you're looking for. And what, well, I kind of know what your sound signature you're looking for. Wharfdale Diamond 12.2 is very good. How about some Tecton speaker reviews? How about Tecton send me some? I'd love to review some, but Eric is not, I wouldn't say he's not interested, but I haven't talked to him for a while. for a long while. So I'd have to reach back out to him. Um, the record label took more money from Lars legally than Napster ever did. Well, John, I'm sure Lars signed that contract, though. I don't think he signed any contract with Napster. Totally agreed on the Tecton Lore Mini for the start. Hey, I picked up a Fozzy Audio DA2120C based on review. Thanks a ton. I love it. Very cool. Does the Unify 2.0 bookshelf really go lower and have more bass than the Unify reference? No, I don't think so. From the measurement, it appears to. Really? I didn't know that. I just know the 2.0s, when I listened to them, I was like, whoa, they had way more bass than I thought they did. And that's the thing. Unify reference are great, but they're over twice as expensive as the 2.0s. And if you can get over how ugly the 2.0s go, I mean, they're doing almost everything the Unify reference does. And quite frankly, I kind of prefer the Unify 2.0 over the Unify reference from a sound perspective. Right there. I feel bad talking about them like that. But don't get me wrong, the Unify reference are great. The 2.0s are really great. Wharfdale Evo 4.4 towers. Do you think they would be great? Yeah. I mean, the 4.2 bookshelves were awesome. Yeah, I think they would be. Do you like vinyl or streaming better? I used to be a vinyl guy, but now I don't listen to any records anymore. Depends on what mood I'm in. If I've got the time, I'm always listening to vinyl. I just enjoy, but I think I enjoy the putting the record on and putting it on and having that physical media more than actually the sound. Although the i5 Zen Phonoprix and the Ortophon 2M Blue cartridge on the Fluence RT85 was fantastic. Going into the Vidar, fantastic. Can I hear difference between classic Meze and the new? I haven't heard the new. I have not. Let's see. Great time. Just wondering, why don't anybody talk about CD players? That's a good point. Why don't we? I've got one. I've got one from Emotiva. Let's see. Sony DVD players with SACD are awesome. From Gordo. I'm thinking I might try building me a set of those flat panel speakers using exciters from Dayton Audio. Hook them up to a sub. They might be a good. Yeah, go for it, man. Do you really need a stereo receiver? Can you home theater receiver pull double duty for music in a meaningful way? Absolutely. Margin 96. Absolutely. And I'm got some videos in that hopper that's going to talk about that very thing. But I have a Marantz NR1711, which is a 7.2 channel receiver, but also has a pure direct mode and a direct mode for music. And when I compared that directly to a $2,500, what is it? Moon by Sim Audio, fancy pantsy 2-channel amp, wasn't that big of a difference. Now, there was a difference, and the Moon was better, but it should be better at 4 times the price. It wasn't significantly better, though. And there are some 7-channel receivers that can actually run a separate 5-channel surround system and a 2-channel stereo system. And you can have them all hooked up at the same time. And depending upon what mode you put it in, it turns what speakers on. So there are a ton of receivers out there that sound great, and they will for sure pull double duty. And actually embarrass some of the 2-channel amps because they have so much DSP going on. So you can do room correction with a receiver. You can do EQs with certain receivers. If you have a fatiguing speaker, you can pull down 2K hertz or 1800 hertz or whatever it is. You can do a whole bunch of stuff with receivers that you can't do with 2-channel amps. But if you're a purist and you don't want any of that DSP stuff going on, then you're probably going to want to look at a 2-channel amp. But as far as music enjoyment, actually, I've enjoyed a lot of music through Dolby Digital 5-channel. And if you get the center dialed in just right, fantastic experience. Whew, I spent a little bit too much time on that question. Dan Barkley, everyone is still gung-ho on streamers as they're the predominant source now. CD transports are still fantastic, but it's a niche now. I agree. I think they should come back, though, and I'm doing a CD player review here pretty soon. Another how much bang for the buck issue, 2.0 versus Unify reference. Yeah, absolutely. Nail head hitting the nail, John R. Absolutely. From a value proposition, it's not. There's no question. It's the 2.0. But there's other things. I just, there's something about the 2.0s that just resonated with me, and them being ugly, I think made them even more appealing to me because I'm like, this is kind of an ugly duckling. So I like it. I like it. Ship Modi is $200. There you go. But I mean, that's a Modi. So unless you need balance, just get the Modi. Love you, Go Knights one. What do you think about shit equalizer Lokius? They're sending me one. I like the low key a lot. I liked it a lot. Oh, Steve said Modius. Steve, the best. Say, hey, Rainy, I have RP600Ms and the big Klipsch Center. RC64 Gen 3. What power amp we recommend LCR duties? Thank you for advice. Love the channel. Really, any receiver that'll handle those. The good thing about those speakers is they are more efficient than most speakers are. So I think a Marantz pairs up very nicely with Klipsch because a Marantz has a little bit warmer sound signature, whereas an Onkyo is a little bit more detailed sound signature on top. I'm not saying you can't hook up an Onkyo to Klipsch because I watched what did I watch tonight? Angels and Demons. That's when they bebop around Rome looking for treasures. Actually, no, they're trying to solve the Illuminati are killing off all the poor popes and cardinals and stuff. Anyway, I watched that and it was an Onkyo and the Klipsch. Sounded great. Let's see. All right, Steve and Gordo are chatting. Steve's voting another thumbs up for the Modi. Let's see. Still enjoy playing CDs. Using Emo Tiva CD player and a DVD 99. Enjoy the physical media and loading, etc. Weird. I'm with you, Silver Wolf. Going to see the Primus. Oh, Primus in New Orleans in a few weeks. But upon advice, didn't get the Les Claypool VIP package so I can afford more audio equipment. They're playing here too. Actually, I was going to go to that show, but then I went to the Alanis Morissette. I still may go to Primus. I don't know. Randy is ugly shaming the ELAC while it's sitting right next to him. Savage. I'm not ugly. Actually, that's the pretty one right there. The ugly ones are over there. I like the ugly ones better, Gordo, because they're a better buy. Missing a hyphen there. Whatever happened to Klipsch heresies? You alluded that they may be the end goal speaker. No, I said that in my brain, I thought they would be an end game speaker for me. And I had never even listened to them. And so that was kind of a silly for me to say this is an end game speaker when I've never even heard it. No, they went back to their owners or back to the dealer. They're good. Frankly, I like the RP6000Fs better than I like the heresies. That's probably heresy. My ELAC debut reference speakers are too warm, dark, like they have a blanket over them. What kind of receiver would complement it? Onkyo. Let's see. You have to ask yourself which DAC though. So what DAC are you running into that? So it's not just the amp. It's probably more a function of what DAC you're running into them. So you can get a detailed DAC and then a more detailed amp, depending upon if it's a receiver or 2-channel amp, things like that. Always found AMTs too bright. What would you recommend for non-ATM 3.1 speaker setup? SVS, Emotiva, Klipsch. Emotiva is AMT. Never mind. SVS and Klipsch then probably, or ELAC. I mean, the ELAC Unify series probably make a heck of a left, center, and right LCR. How is the Pioneer 747 holding up? I only ran it for a little bit, and then it's up on the shelf. So it was popping and crackling a bit. So I need to clean it out a bit. Here's a great question from Scott Pledger. Very good question. What's your favorite audiophile grade ice cream? Scott, great question. And I wish I had my reading glasses on and I'd pull up a piece of paper and I'd pretend like I was reading it to answer this question. But that's a great question. I think my favorite audiophile grade ice cream would have to be the Great Value cookies and cream from your local neighborhood Walmart. It gives you all the enjoyment of a top tier cookies and cream ice cream while being easy on the pocketbook. That's Great Value cookies and cream ice cream, audiophile grade, certified. It's on askmac.org, or it will be later tonight. Sorry, I made myself laugh. Um, so stupid. Oh, good question, Scott. That made my night. A stupid little thing I just made up. Oh, I you like Davey reference speakers are two. Okay, we already read that. Oh, might you consider building one of those best speakers in the world, DIY panel speakers? I'm not into panel speakers right now. Maybe later, but not right now. I would like to see what a real audiophile thinks. I'm not a real audiophile. I'm an idiot as a YouTube channel. Plus, they cost like $30. Really? Well, if they're $30, I might be in. Oh, are you talking about that guy that put the freaking he put like a driver on a freaking looked like a piece of suspended ceiling? Um, I think I saw that. But his video is way too long. Like, get to the point, bro. I think that guy also made like a huge transmission line speaker too. If using an iPhone for Spotify, what DAC do you recommend? And it's Bluetooth to the phone. All right, I'm confused. If using an iPhone for Spotify, what DAC do you recommend? And it's Bluetooth to the phone. Okay, so are you talking about a DAC that has Bluetooth? Um, uh, God, what is it? There's one that has, okay, so the topping EX5 is really good as, but you don't need LDAC. Let's see, so you need AAC if you're an iPhone user. I don't know. Topping EX5. I think I don't know if the Soundcause even has Bluetooth. These products are starting to run together for me now. Vista Audio Spark or Ryson A10 for about $400. Vista Audio Spark. You're just gonna be able to be able to drive a lot more off the Spark than you can off the i10 or A10 i10. I'm using a vintage Sansui. Very nice. Steve Zedman has a vintage Sansui on the road at the moment, but I've got a great DAC at home from China. It uses some of my old Philips TDA 1540A chips. Okay. Are those the first like multi-bit chips? Because I was in a forum talking about that. I wasn't talking, I was reading about it. I think it's from Lee Studio. Very cool. Shopping for a DAC. Have you tried the Freya Plus with the Denafreps DAC? I have. I have the Freya Plus, and curious as it shines more than the Bifrost 2. Yeah, it does. Bifrost 2 is not as revealing as the Denafreps. All right. Where'd we go? Hey, Wayne Bardo dropping in $4. Thank you very much. Jordan Reeves, are Fluent speakers actually worth it? I think the reference towers are pretty good. They're pretty boring, but they put out a heck of a lot of bass. Hello and good morning from Malta, Europe. Hey, Mr. Gatt, Aaron Gatt. Sorry, gross. Sony STRZA 1100 ES is a great receiver for stereo use. There you go. Looking to buy a used amp to save some money. Any recommendations for an amp that is 5 to 10 years old or even older? Anthem Integrated 225. If you can find one, those things are beasts. I've got one. Fluent speakers, are they worth it? The Fluent speakers are very good. They're flat, but they're boring. So keep that in mind. What kind of coffee do you drink, and do you get heartburn after too much of it? Not recently, no. Usually Starbucks. Whatever. I don't go to Starbucks. I just buy the Starbucks coffee and make it at home. What do you think about JBL Cinema speakers? 3722N. I haven't heard them actually. Oh, Gordo's going to bed. Good night, Gordo. We might wrap this up. I like the Fluence towers once I tamed the bass by plugging the one port. There you go, John Nixon. Very good. Keep up the great work. Your channel is refreshing. Never change. Thank you, Vincent Padalino. I'm sorry. My wife's been watching. What is that? show, The Sopranos. So whenever I see anybody's name that could possibly be Italian, I'm like, oh, they must be in the mob. It's so stupid. I know it's dumb. Um, yep, that guy. I wonder if those speakers are legit or junk. They're probably good. I mean, he's a scientist. Good night, Silver Wolf. Voivod. I had a good time. You guys made me laugh tonight, or I guess I made myself laugh. What kind of coffee do you drink? All right, Starbucks. I feel like we're having deja vu. What do you listen to while driving your car? Amazon Music. I find that the DAC, the FM radio, goes way better at DACs than any car stereo. Wait a minute. I find that the DAC, the FM radio station, uses way better DACs than any car stereo. Well, um, I don't know how that works. I'm pretty sure though that the signal is not being transmitted over the FM airways and digital. I could be wrong though. I find that it's hard to hear a lot of detail in any music or DAC in a car when I have 70 dB of road noise to contend with. John P. dropping in $1.99. Thank you. Holy cow. Brian G, $50 Canadian. Gotta get back to being somewhat productive tonight. Great chat. Cool community. Got going on. Thank you, Brian G. Douglas Blake says, "What's up? Gotta go, Randy. Old man out Steve's. They're dropping like flies in here tonight. It's Spotify for crime's sake. Amp for Q350. Okay. Tried SMSL SA300, which sounded good, but very weak. Now I have a Sony ST, okay, which has power, but doesn't sound as good as the SMSL. That's the point. So it's a perfect illustration of a very detailed amp versus a very thick amp, because that's about as far away on the pendulum swing as you can get. Need something good under $500. Amp under $500. Emotiva, the new integrated. If you don't need the inputs like the phono and the DAC, get the A2, because that's got gobs of power. It's very neutral. It's got tons of bass, gobs of power. You can use any DAC with a variable output and go right into it. You can use a Blue Sound Node 2i, go right into it. You can use headphone amps and go right into it and use the volume control on that. So the best bang for the buck amp out there is just an amp, and that's the Emotiva A2. But if you're not in the US, that might be harder to get a hold of. Are zeros and ones really the most audiophile digits for digital music? Yeah, they are. Binary. I'll get you every time. Bob Marley says AdCom 535. All right, John B dropping in $1.99. Thank you very much. Are you missing something? The right hand clicking on wherever I may roam begins at the 13-second mark on title for me. My vinyl too. Okay, what did I say? 14-second? My second off. Full on signature series is excellent. Hi, all. Ask my certified black gym socks for port plugs. That's good. Love your sponsors. Laugh out loud. It cracks me up. Louis Sides, play it all night. ABB Fillmore East. There you go. I didn't mean to get you out of bed going all night. No, Louis, you're good. Just give me a little bit of a shot in the arm. But I am probably I'm gonna scroll through some of these real quick, and then we're gonna hang it up for the night. I found it hard to listen to fine details of my music with the wife around, so I got a divorce. Pro tip. All right, Bob Marley, there you go. He said it. It's true. Want your music sound better, get a divorce. What are your favorite songs to test speakers with? Ooh, John, I've got a whole playlist called My Test Track, Cheap Audio Man Test Tracks, in the description of every one of the videos. And you can sign up for a free trial of Amazon Music. I get a couple of dollars. Said that a number of times. What do you think of bi-wiring speaker? Hype or hot? I don't know. I think you have the option of the speakers and in the amp. You might as well do it. I did do it on the RP600Ms. I didn't spend enough time A-Bing them with or without to really be able to talk coherently on whether or not it's worth it. Clips reference Premiere 400 over Sony SSCS5 for 5.2 surround sound front and back bookshelf speakers on 5.2 setup. if you can, I would just go try to get the 500s because I had the 400s, RP 400s in for a while. They sound great. They're tiny though. Um, if you can get the 500s, I think that would probably be better. And I think the 500s are better than the Sony's SSCS5s, and they should be. They're quite a bit more expensive. Best SMSL amp, SA98E, very neutral and plenty of power. I like the DA9, but I like the DA9 with the SBD, I think, EQ setting. That's my favorite. All right. One is audiophile certified, but 0 isn't. Tom, I've heard that. I heard the same thing. I saw that Klipsch is raising prices 15% in September. Ooh, better run out and get them. That's complete horse crap that Klipsch says that they're raising prices by 15% because they don't really have any price to begin with. It vacillates up and down all the time. Okay. So your MSRP is going up 15%. I mean, the street price for those speakers is never MSRP anyway. There's still some deals to be had on Klipsch though, but you got to wait till they go on sale. Rock City, what up? Good evening, Rennie. Happy to see you live. I just got here, so I'm going to start from the beginning. Oh, okay. Because we're going to hang it up tonight, Rock. Am I missing something, or have you not really looked at near field ideal monitors for desktop use, or at least evaluated performance balanced? Every speaker I listen to, I evaluate in the near field. I may not say that they're quote unquote desktop use, but I'm sitting where I usually listen to, and I can literally almost reach out and touch the speaker right here. So the most time I spend with every speaker I get in here, if it's not a floor stander, is right here. So I listen to every speaker near field. So yes, you are missing something. I do look at near field ideal monitors for desktop usage. I don't call them monitors though. I call them speakers. So yeah, you can look up the, Yamaha S801s, the Mica RB52s, the Klipsch RP400M, the Klipsch RP500M, Klipsch RP600M, Wharfdale Diamond 11.2s, Diamond 12.2s, the Polk R100s. Let's see what else. The Q Acoustics 3020s, the Q Acoustics 3020Is, the Q Acoustics 3030Is, Dolly Spectre 1, Dolly Spectre 2. Let's see, what else? Let's see. Sony SSCS5s, the JBL Stage A130s, ELAC Debut B6, ELAC Debut B6.2, ELAC Debut B5.2, ELAC Unify first gen, ELAC Unify second gen, ELAC Unify Reference, Polk R100s. Is that enough? You want me to keep going? Those are the only ones that I've actually evaluated for desktop use. Probably those. More? Probably those. Okay. Jordan Reese says, I really enjoy the channel. Don't stop with the ads. Might be my favorite part. Thank you. I appreciate that. Mica, oh, that's another one I did. Mica RB42X. Also, the Numi BS5s. I also did those for desktop usage. Just want to make sure you're not missing anything. Out of everything, I appreciate you calling out the manufacturers who play that ridiculous pricing game. Crazy BS. You're welcome. I'm an advocate for the consumer because I am the consumer. I know people send me stuff now, but when I first started, I bought everything. I still buy a lot of stuff. So I am the consumer, and the pricing games are shenanigans. All right. I think I'm going to call it a night. I got all excited. Let's see. Fun chat. Okay. All right. Good night, everybody. I appreciate you coming in. Thank you for all of the super chats tonight. You guys have been very, very, very generous. So I appreciate it. You guys have a good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night.